Hey guys, thought I'd change it up a little bit today, get you some nicer background scenery in there. In case you're new, we've been chatting a little bit about the motorbikes that I've owned in the last few years. Since I turned 40, I started biking again after a long hiatus. And I thought I'd tell you guys a little bit about the bikes that I rode and what they mean to me. These are going to be quick videos, 5 to 10 minutes maybe, with some nice background pictures and videos of some of the bikes I've owned. Some of the test videos and stuff will be going as I ramble on here. As anybody who's been on the on this YouTube channel before knows, I tend to ramble on. I just love telling stories about motorbikes. It's freezing cold, as you can tell by the toque, and I just like to sit here and talk about my bikes right now. Later on, with some of the videos that we're going to be putting, we're going to be trying to do some reviews, maybe some gear reviews. Hopefully we'll be just getting some bike stories about places that I've gone to. Maybe in the future you guys want to go to. But today, we're going to be talking about the 2008 Z1000 and how I came to own the 2008 Z1000. Although I really loved my 2004 Shadow, it was becoming more and more apparent that I wasn't going to be using it as much. Now that I had gone with a 2012 Tiger 800 with ABS and everything else and strong disc brakes and everything else, it was just not cutting it for me. It felt a little wobbly in the corners. It's a cruiser, right? Guys, I have nothing against cruisers if you're watching, but they do not handle like a bonafide road or sport bike. They just don't have it there. They do have comfort for a long trip, but comfort's not really what I'm about in motorbikes. Like I tell you guys, I don't even like windshields. I mean, my 2012 Triumph, I made it home from Edmonton, the shield was off next morning, and I never have touched it again. And I put some big miles on that thing going to California and back and Idaho and back, and never use a windshield. I do wear a full face visor now, but never do it. Anyway, just thought I'd talk a little bit about this 08 Z1000 and how it came to be part of the stable. I still had my 2004 Honda Shadow, and I had just bought in a 2012 Tiger 800 XC. It's just the beginning of the year 2012 in the spring. I kind of bought my Tiger at the end of the last season, like July-ish. That's not really the end, but you know, close. And so what I had done is I was kind of looking for another bike, thinking that I would get rid of my Honda Shadow. I put my Honda Shadow on Kijiji. Hadn't had a whole lot of looks at it yet, a couple calls and stuff, but I think I had it a little bit high priced, but there was a ton of accessories on it, and it was not a Honda Shadow by any means. As you guys can see in the pictures, it was done up quite nicely. So anyway, I'm trying to sell that, and I'm thinking at this time that I'm going to try and get my wife into biking, which still hasn't happened, by the way. It's very hard if they're not really into biking to get your wife into biking, but I'm trying. I'm still working on it. She goes for rides with me. That's cool. Love her for it. But yeah, I thought I'd get into something for her, so I was looking for a Ninja 650. Thought I'd go down to the local store. They had one in, and I thought I'd check it out a little bit. On my way in, on the outside, they had parked a Kawasaki Racing Green Z1000. And man, I love the look of that bike, and the guy came out right away and he said, what do you think, man? And I was like, oh, it's a nice bike. And he's, yeah, nice bike, but we sold it already. He says, seems like everybody's looking at it now, but some guy already bought it. And I said, oh, okay. So then I went to look at the Z1000. Then my salesman's name is Dave. Anyway, I go in there and I go, man, that's a good looking bike out there. He goes, man, we've had that thing in a crate in the back forever. He says, we just blew it out to this guy. He said, and the guy hasn't even come by to pick it up. I basically gave it to him for $3 grand below cost, and he's still not even here. I was like, well, what'd you sell it for? And he tells me what he sold it for. And I'm like, are you crazy? He goes, we got to get rid of it. It's an '08. Now, technically, they bought it in '09 because they didn't really make a 2009 Z1000. They went right from 2008 to 2010. But nonetheless, it's designated an '08. And so they had it on Kijiji and everything, and they hadn't had any bites on it. So anyway, I said, I was quite floored by what they were selling. I said, you know what? If that guy decides to back out, I said, I'm in. Really? Yeah, really. He goes, well, I'll let you know. So anyway, I kind of thought about this after I left the store, and I was like, here I am trying to find something. I told my wife I was going to buy something maybe she could learn on and grow with and enjoy. And I would have been happy with the bike. It would have been about the same speed as my Triumph, but more road oriented, maybe a little better in the corners. Probably not. The Triumph's awesome in the corners, but whatever. You know, you justify everything the way you justify it. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, I might have made a little bit of a boo-boo. I know we haven't sold the Honda, but you know, this 08 Z1000 there, it's gorgeous. You want to come down and look? And I showed her and I drooled over the thing. And it was probably 2 weeks. I still hadn't sold my Honda Shadow. And I'm starting to get worried about that. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call from Dave. He says, we finally got a hold of the guy. He's backed out. You can have the bike for the same price. Well, I'm a man of my word. What can I say? I had to, right? You guys all agree with me. I had to tell my wife I had to buy it. I had to, even before my Honda was sold, I had to buy the thing. So what I did was I put a deposit on it, told the guy, it's mine, I got to sell the Honda first. So I put the Honda on consignment, which I didn't want to do because you lose money doing that too. But it's actually sold pretty quickly on consignment. But for a while there was 3 bikes in my garage and my wife wasn't very happy with me. Anyway, I now have the 08 Z1000. To this day, it's still in my garage. What a great bike, guys. There is not a better power plant around than that Z1000, especially for riding around town, which ends up being a lot of what a person does. It's great. Like, you can pull wheelies right up from 0 RPM right up to whatever 10 it goes up to. It goes like crazy. It's not, you're not going to win a drag race with a 600cc sport bike. You're going to be neck and neck up to about 100 and some kilometers an hour. And once you get past 130, 140, they're going to start to walk away from you, just because their bikes all generate that power way up high and they're quite light. But it's a great bike. It handles good. Just a quick little note, you will have to adjust the suspensions if you're looking into one of these bikes. They have a 2 system on the front, where you do preload and damping on one and rebound on the other. And once you dial that into your weight and how you ride, it tracks a lot better. But the best thing you can do is get rid of those stock tires. Not that any of you guys are going to drive an 08 right now with stock tires, but if you're having a little bit of a ooh in the corners, switch up the tires. I'm using an Avon front and rear, one of those tri-compound tires or dual compounds where the inside's harder than the other. Getting great mileage out of it, and it really smartened up the handling. It doesn't buck in the corners when you hit the bumps anymore. Anyway, it's an awesome bike, guys. I customized it. I put on shorty levers. A big recommendation for almost any bike. I love the shorty levers. If you fall over, no breakage. They usually stay right out of the way. The other thing I put on that was a pair of Leo Vince MotoGP pipes. Kept the baffles in, didn't want to kill my neighbors, but wow, what a nice sound that is. And I think they look pretty good myself. My mechanic thinks they look like welded up slinkies. But anyway, everybody's got their own opinion about that kind of stuff. The seat is remarkably hard. There's no windshield. Like I said before, I don't want a bike to be comfortable. I want to feel the wind in my face and I want to feel it on my chest. I just don't like the buffeting all the time. It gives me a headache, man. It really does. But it's a bit of a hard bike. But you know what? No excuses. I drove the thing all the way to BC before. Funny story. Me and my buddies got all of our bikes impounded in BC. Not our fault. I'll get into that another day about what can happen if you guys are driving like idiots in BC. You don't even have to drive like an... Anyway, another story for another time. Guys, that just about wraps up all the bikes I've had. I just recently bought a Ninja 1000, so I have 3 bikes in the garage again. But the 08 Z1000 and the 2012 Triumph are both going up for sale. Hoping to get myself a little dual sport bike like a DR650 or something like that. Maybe pick it up used, do some mods for it, and that will be plenty of other things to talk about in our next videos. So that wraps it up. This is my longest video. I encourage you to subscribe. We try to keep them to 5 to 10 minutes. Put your comments below. You can agree with me, disagree with me, whatever you like. Just keep it nice. Keep the language down, all that kind of stuff, guys. It's just a family channel here. We're not professionals or anything like that. So I hope you're enjoying this stuff, guys. I'm having fun just reliving it, and it's making me not think about buying accessories for my bike and getting killed by my wife. So thanks for helping me out with that. Take care. Bye-bye.